folks, so what we've got here is another Kung Fu Master board. I've had more of this board than any other board recently. I have two of these already. I had three in fact, and I sold one. I have one in my cabin. I have a spare one just in case, because I like to do that. And this came in the lot of boards that I got from my friend recently. So it's great. I mean, I have another one. I don't need it, but I mean, these Irem boards are getting rarer as well, so it's good to find. And the Irem hardware is getting more and more expensive quickly, in fact. So it's certainly good to find. I don't know if I want to keep it, but first I want to fix it. I've been told it's not working, so I'm assuming maybe it's booting and there's some issues, or maybe it's not booting, so we'll see. I have an adapter for this guy, so we'll just plug that into our JAMA harness and see what we get. So this is a 3-stack board. Here we have, the central board is the CPU board and the sound, so it deals with essentially just booting the game. And let's see if I can. There you go. So here we have our CPU. Actually, we have two CPUs. Should this be socketed? RAM with two. So the CPU here is controlling these two audio chips. These are again AY3 8, 9, 10. We've got two Aki chips that are sort of used for digital voices and things like that, which we have in there. We have laughter and those kung fu sound, voila, and things like that, and other bits. And here, this is I think this deals with the tile maps in general for the background, and this is graphics down here, and composition, recomposing all the planes. But well, let's try it. And we got sweet fuck all. So I could just be probing aimlessly here, because the board can be booting for a number of reasons. It can be just not booting, or something can cause it to reset on either board. So I could just look at the watchdog and that kind of stuff, but it's something I could do is actually, because it's a 3-board stack, I'm going to pull out my working board and I'm just going to try each individual board on other 2 boards that I know work. So that way I'm going to be able to isolate which board or boards are causing the issue, or what individual issues sort of are. Hopefully we'll see. Alright, so interesting discoveries. So essentially this is a middle board, the CPU board, and I found out that this guy works. If I use this board in the middle of this stack, all this works, remember, and this is my working board. The game plays fine, it boots fine, I got all the sounds, so the sound system is fine. It might need a recap because I'm getting some distortion on some sounds. So I'll just have a check at some of the individual chips here, here. But I think the sound is fine. I might just need to recap it. We'll see, but we can safely assume that this is working now at this stage, which is great, because essentially we're down to 2 boards. So this I get a black screen whenever I try this on this stack, and I get just glitches and essentially just a small bar at the bottom, but I do get some. It's trying to output colors and things like that, but nothing much. So I'll tell you what, we're going to start with this guy. It'll be a good way to get familiar again with the schematics and take it from there. I see a lot of Fujitsu ICs. There's 2 more here. Yeah, it's never a good sign when you see these. So first, I'm just going to check these ROMs, check that they're okay, and then, because there's no point trying to look at anything if some of the ROMs are bad, and because they're socketed, it's handy. I can just put them in my programmer, read them, and and check them in ROM IDANT. Anyway, so let's do that. All right, so just as well I did this, I found these two guys, 6 and 8, were indeed faulty. In fact, it's very interesting. This guy, so it's actually, this is 6, 7, and 8, or the other way around, doesn't matter. But this guy especially was just completely fried. I couldn't get a steady reading. It kept giving me a different reading, and if I read it again, there you go. Now it's all empty. Or full, depending on which way you want to look at it. But yes, yeah. And if I submit this, is that the one? No, it's not the one. That's the good one, isn't it? There you go. Yeah, it doesn't check. Doesn't read or anything good. So I'm gonna just burn 2 new ones. I pretty much can dump these guys because they're just they're fried. Completely fried, unreliable. Look at the state of the legs on this. That's the problem when these look at the state of my fingers. That's the problem when these are stored in damp places like they were. Just corrosion just creeps up on all the. Oh yeah, look at that. That doesn't mean they're necessarily bad. In fact, I've seen pretty corroded chips that work well, but yeah, it's never a good sign. So new EPROMs, and then we'll take it from there. Interestingly, I went to double check my EPROM, this one as well, and I got a different reading again. So I decided to burn a new one. At least I'm sure these work. I should probably test them actually in my other working board, but for now we're gonna focus on this guy. So I know these two are working. This one isn't working, and we're not getting anything on screen. It's not booting or doing anything. So let's say we need to look at the schematics here. Let me switch this off. So what have we got here? This one page is actually this board here. So it's kind of hard to read. A lot of the stuff is sort of half erased. It's not all like that. This is probably one of the worst page. This one and this one we need to look at. But if I would assume that's coming from the edge connectors. We got just vertical address lines, FLP. I assume that's screen flip or something like that. Horizontal data lines here, address lines, more address lines here. So we got stuff coming into 2A. That's the 273, which is this guy here. I assume that's a buffer, and then we've got more here going into these this custom here. It's a custom chip at 1 and 2A. We've got data coming out going to these ROMs. We've got more buffers here. Are the buffers 157? Let me check. 157 multiplexers. Okay, sorry, multiplexers. I should know that. Come across them all the time. These RAMs are going into another custom. I see red, green, blue, so we got our color processing, 3 color proms here. And this custom, so I assume these are the color proms. They are going back into the connectors and straight into the edge connectors. So well, we don't know if these work. We got a custom chips processing all that just straight out the output. Pretty much everything there is going back into this chip to the output. We got our 3 proms here, another custom. We've got quite a lot of custom on this small board, so I'm praying this is not one of the custom that's dodgy. I have a replacement for one of them. I think it's this one, that Caius from JamArcade.net made. Found out that he was making these, so I actually got one straight away, just even though I didn't need one, but it's good to have a spare, especially when you have that type of board. So I got one, and also I wanted to support what he was doing. Okay, so looking at the board here, it's hard to know. Well, like, I'm not getting anything, so it's hard to know if we're getting any sort of signal. I could start with the these 3 prawns, but it'll be, if one of them failed, we'll at least get some color, so it's fine to assume these are okay. I should probably go back and check this custom, see if I'm getting any of the outputs toggling, and if so, just work back my way. But looking at the board here, I see a lot of Fujitsu ICs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's never a good sign. So I see traces of corrosion here and here and here. So you know what? I'm gonna start just probing each of these Fujitsu chips, and just at least I can rule them out. But I wouldn't be surprised if one or more of them have failed, because that's what they do nowadays, these Fujitsu ICs. So I'm gonna start with them, and well, maybe we'll see. Okay, that didn't take long. I started here. I was gonna work my way this way. This one checked fine, but this one straight away, look at that. So this is an AND gate, LS00, and an AND gate. I've done a video about those logic gates, what they do, but essentially, if you need, it's an AND gate, inverting AND gate. So if both are high, the result, the output will be low, and if one is low, the result will be high. So high, and high equals low, anything else is high. But if I check pin 1 here, we got some activity. Pin 2 here, we got some activity, and pin 3, the output, we got nothing. Okay, there you go. If I bridge them, we get some output, which actually indicate that first our color proms probably are working fine. Here there's no input, so it's fine. Here we should get 1, 2, and no, very low output. Okay, low, and it should be high on the output, and it's not. If any of them is low, it should be high, and then we're getting 1, 2, and that could be fine. It's hard to know this one, but this guy is definitely dead. So this is LS00. Is there another one? Yeah, there's one here actually, and I'm going to change both. Usually, because when one fails, especially those Fujitsu were made in batches, and you'll find that if when one fail, the other ones from that same batch will most likely start failing. So it's very, very likely that these came from the same batch. And well, there you go. High input source. No, is it this one? Yeah, 0, 0. High. The output should be, according to this table, should be low, and the output here is high. So this guy is toast as well. There's no output here. Yeah, there you go. Found two bad chips straight away. Let's see if I can piggyback something. This is a working LS00. Come on, focus. Maybe not. Anyway, there you go. If I take it off, take it back on, we got some input, and I heard some noise, so it's crediting. Oh, I can scroll, so okay. So we got the tile being generated. I see no sprites, but that doesn't mean that there's no sprites. Can I piggyback the second one? Just bear with me for a second. Which one is it? Yeah, we're getting something. Oh, did I see a sprite? Briefly. Let's try again. Well, folks, that didn't take long. Okay. Encouraging. We get some background, some issues of just rendering the proper tiles, but at least the tile map looks like it's being generated. Could be some sync issues there, some sort. It's probably RAM or something. It's not, or addressing. It's not fetching the right data. Anyway, we can't tell for sure, so we're gonna replace these two guys and start from there. Oh, you are so faulty. Alright, so we got the two LS00 Plug back in, and indeed we're getting something. At least we're getting some form of tile map being generated. And we're getting sprites are fine. We're moving, we're scrolling. It's just we're not getting our. We're not getting. It's losing sync every now and then, but anyway. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that was connector. So we're getting our tile map generated. It's just not populated with anything. So I wonder if there's an address issue. I should probably check the enable for all these. I assume the RAM is working because we're getting something on the output. We're getting the sprites fine, but the tile map, the characters, just aren't there. So I'm going to continue first and check the rest of these Fujitsu ICs. If I look at the here, this is 04, so there should be an inverter. We're getting high-low, that's fine. Pulsing. What's it pulsing? Something's pulsing, but here it's just slow all the time. Okay, we're getting funny signal. Let me just check in the scope. It's gonna be tricky to have everything on screen, but here, if I check this, I have a high level, and here it should stay more or less low. Yeah. So this is channel 1 here. This one is channel 1. This is the output. Here, I indeed have toggling. Here it's toggling as well. It should be inverted, but it's staying super low, which isn't great. And here I'm getting sort of the same reading. It came up as floating, even though it's probably working, but not at a level that's sufficient. It's a Fujitsu IC. I'm not happy with it. I'm gonna change it. While I'm here, I'm gonna check these LS32s as well. I can't do it here with the phone the way it is, so I'm gonna test them and report back. Yeah, I'm not happy with the LS32 either. This is an OR gate, so we should have, if you look at this input here, it's toggling. This one is toggling. We should see something toggling here as well, and it's dead. And indeed, if I look with the scope, we've got this pin is going high here, this pin is going high here. So we should have, it's an OR gate, so I want one or the other or both to be high for the output to be high. In other words, the only way the output should be low is if the two of them are low. But look at that, the levels we're getting again are just not sufficient. This should be yeah, should be much higher and should be going from 0 to +5. Let me check the other inputs here. We got low, floating, and this is floating. This should be low, even if this guy is floating. Yeah, okay. Do you know what? LS32 here is going to go as well. I'm going to test them in my tester, and I see another one here. Should I suspect the same results? Is this floating? It's hard to know. That's the thing the scope doesn't tell you, is if it's floating it's just going low, but okay. Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary here. Maybe this guy. Oh. Let me get a sync here. There you go. So, OR gate, we want the two to be high, so that middle section here, we should see, no, sorry, we should see high, all the time here, actually. Yeah, fair enough, it's high all the time. That's fair enough. And then here is there. There you go. High, yeah, this should be high all the time as well. Okay, this guy looks fine. You know what, I'm gonna change it anyway, because if this is LS32 here, probably some in the same batch, this is gonna go at some point. And it's not liking the grounding here. Okay, let's do this. This is faulty too. There you go, we got our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 already chips socketed. As we saw, this one actually came up as faulty, but this one tested fine. Still happy I replaced them because it's the same one and it's a matter of time, minutes, days, years really, but it's hard to know. But usually when one of the batch fails, they all start failing at the same time. So gone, replaced. Let's see what this board is doing now. Okay, we're plugged back in, and indeed things are looking well, slightly better. We used to get a lot of just glitches and static and things like that here, and that's all gone. So it looks like oh, by the way, well, no, I did tell you. So anyway, it looks like indeed the tile map is being generated, so our RAM should be fine, but it could be an issue between the RAM and so the RAM is here, and the EPROMs, the addressing from the where it fetches the actual data. So it generates the tile map in RAM, fetches the data in PROM and then in the EPROMs, and then this is being outputted, I assume, back into this custom and out to the color chips. The fact that we're getting sprites here that are being generated by somewhere else, so it's coming from somewhere else anyway. I'm not sure exactly where, but would mean that probably this custom, because it's getting those it's hard to, I'm assuming a lot of things, but the rendering side, the proms, the data coming out of this guy is fine. So this custom is most likely fine because the sprites are being displayed properly. So definitely we're looking somewhere there. The proms are not being addressed properly from the RAMs here, so I assume on this path. So let's say it's one of these guys somewhere. And because these three are corroded, I'm just gonna check that these are working fine. I can't really see the pinouts here, so I'm just gonna do some continuity test to check. Sorry, no, here. I have the data sheet for these problems, so I'll check which pin is which. I check that all that is toggling, and I want to check as well the enable lines, wherever they are. Hard to know. Yeah, but the enable lines on these proms as well. And I'll report back. By the way, this is the game running without these proms here being plugged in, and so you can see that it has no effect on the sprite and the tile map. It's just the tile map and everything gets generated, just not populated with the actual data. We should be able to play the game properly and scroll. You can see the scrolling is working. So it's generating all that data, there's no glitch, just not populating that data. So 1, 2, 3, these EPROMs I'm assuming are fine. It could be this guy as well. This is a custom by Caius. It'll be interesting actually to see if that brings the board back. Right, some updates. So I checked the data lines and these and the enables, and it's all fine. And then I started looking at what's coming, what the output of these, and indeed there's a couple of just low signals and dead signals and all that. And indeed, I have this replacement here from Caius that I got ages ago. And if you sort of piggyback it, there you go. You get at least some graphics back. It could be just corruption from the other chips, but let's replace this guy by this custom here. Okay, so we got our replacement IC. This is the dead chip here, and replacement one in place here. Let's power this, and there you go, straight away. This comes up as good. So yeah, it's perfect. So we can pretty much, I'm just gonna check the graphics are okay here. Yeah, look at that, all back to good. So next, well, we have this the G board working, so we're gonna use the A board here. or whatever they call. We're gonna kind of top. Let's call them top, middle, and bottom. But I know this top board now is working. We're gonna use the middle board from my non-working set, or what we assume was non-working set of the middle board here, and the bottom board is over there. I know the middle board is working, that's the CPU board, but there's some sound issues, so we're probably going to change a few caps on that other one, but we'll do that next, and then we'll start worrying about that bottom board, because it didn't look like it was working at all, or giving me any graphics or anything like that, even with the two other boards. So we'll do that next, to recap here, change a few caps, maybe just check the lines on the amp as well, but and after that we'll move on to the third board. So let's go. Okay, so we've got our middle board here. You know what, I actually wonder if this is just sound, mostly sound, because if I look at this guy, has a couple of clocks as well. I haven't looked specifically at the schematics for this. I know most of the graphics are done here, but these RAMs are used for sound, and most of these ROMs as well are used for sound. I don't know, there's a CPU here. I don't think this is the sound CPU, this is, but this might be the main CPU, but it's getting on most of its stuff from here. Anyway, it doesn't matter for now. I wanted to show you what I was talking about when I said getting some sound distortion. So it's going to be hard to hear, I suppose, on this guy, but you'd see what I mean maybe when you hear it. There you go, it's mostly on the footsteps and some of the white noise being generated. So if I die, it's usually, yeah, there you go. So you got that distortion, some elements. Let me see if I can the punches, they're not always good. There's actually a dip switch you can set. There you go, you can hear those sounds again. There's a dip switch you can set here in the this guy here to set it to test mode. So we'll do that and we'll reboot the board. So it goes through test mode, test all the ROMs and the RAM and all that kind of stuff. You can, there you go, sound. So I was showing that in the other one, but it iterates through all the sounds. That play or running, it's a different sound every time. That's not right either. There you go, it's different again. Yeah, so I wonder, I think it could well be that one of these chips is incorrect. Let me switch this off. And I could pin and probe, but I'm getting a signal out of them, but not quite the right signal. So I will get an output if I just probe the legs. What I can do is try and swap them. Let me see, switch this guy off and see if that makes a difference. If we hear the same stuff, we can rule those two out and maybe move towards, I don't know, maybe the RAM. Although it doesn't make sense that it would be a RAM issue or a ROM issue. If it was a RAM-ROM issue, I would get random sounds, most likely, or just different sounds and a lot of different sound effects. If it was the circuit, I'd get consistent bad sound, because all those square waves and that sort of whitish noise come from here, and this is the chips that handle the speech. So I would get even distorted sounds on the music if it was all somewhere here, something happening here with this sound amplification. So I'm just guessing here that this could be an issue with those. So did I swap them? I can't remember, I'm not even sure. That's okay now. That's what it should be. Ah, there you go. In the background music you can hear that. So it's one of those chips. Is actually wrong or dead or something like that. Let me take one of them out and see. Alright, so I replaced the bottom sound chip here. I had a 50% chance really of finding the right one the first time, so and indeed it corrected our sound. I'll show you the one that was affected after I swapped in was the BGM music, and it's all fine now. So that's great. I can move this chip to the pile of broken ones and move on now to the third and bottom board. It's going to be a bit more of a challenge. My only worry with this one again is that there's a few more customs here. There's 1, 2, 3, and this guy, but I think this, I don't know actually. I don't know. So hopefully whatever issue this board has isn't one of them, because if that's the case I'm screwed. Anyway, let's have a look. So it's now time to start tackling this bottom board. Now I know, because I tested it on when I was testing the individual boards, that this guy isn't working either, and I can show you. If I switch on the power, I get nothing whatsoever. You'd excuse the flickering again. It's just a refresh rate of this camera and monitor, but so here there's different ways to approach it, but what I noticed straight away when I started looking at the legs is that none of those guys, actually I'll take this not plugged in, none of these legs on any of these ICs is actually just registering or changing. So there's no activity on this board, which usually is a good indication that there's no clock working, or somewhere in the circuit the clock is gone. I see 2 clocks here, and indeed if I look at the schematics, just let me bring this closer, we see the 2 clocks here. It's one 24 Hertz and one 10.432 megahertz, but they're connected with a jumper here, or 2 jumpers here, and in this case it's connected to the 10 megahertz one, which is this guy. So are we getting anything here? Yes, we are. Okay, okay, so we're getting some clock. I probably need to ground this for better. Let me do this. Sorry, there you go. So clock is working. So we're just gonna go down further down the circuit and just make sure that clock is going. So this is the clock. It should be going to pin 14 of that custom. You can check that. It's here. Pin 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so we get nothing here. So something is happening here. So what have we got? I'm just gonna check on, I could check here, pin 1 of 7N, because essentially this pin is sending it to this inverter. 7N, 7M should be going. We check pin 2 of 7M. Which one is 7M? Should be this one, pin 2. Yeah, we get a clock here. Fair enough. Next one would be 7N. Oh, interesting. So it's sending it back into pin 13, inverting it again, and again going to another inverter. 7M. Pin 4. We'll check pin 4 of 7M, which is this guy here. Let's see if I can get everything on camera. Maybe. It's gonna be hard, but 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay, we have a clock here. And then it's going to this other IC. Yeah, this things get a bit more complicated. It's an LS 112, and essentially I should see something coming out of here. So if it's something is going here but there's nothing here, there shouldn't be, unless we have a short here. Let's just check that at pin, so it's going to pin 13 and to pin 1. It could be easier. Check pin 1 of this guy. Okay, we get a clock here, that's fine, but the output I expect then isn't working. Pin 7. We're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There you go. We got nothing here. We should be getting a clock signal, and nothing is triggering in here. We're going to change this guy because that's it. It's not sending any clock to this part of the circuit. And indeed, the clock is here, but it goes straight into the, well, it feeds into this circuit here as well. So that's why it's here. But it also goes to the other circuit to power these Z80 and all that kind of stuff. So not much is gonna happen unless we have a clock. So let's just change this guy. I don't think I have one, so I'm gonna have to order LS 74 LS 112, and it'll be a few days before it's here. So put this video on hold, but with the magic of editing, you'll see everything in one smooth video. Okay, so I got my LS 112 in place here. I actually put the stack back together, and now the board is booting with the game fully playing. Essentially, that's all it was on this board. It was just that LS 112 just not driving the clock properly to the rest of the board and to the CPU. So that was an easy, relatively easy find and fix straight away. Something happened though when I was fixing it is this RAM here went on me. I started getting it started booting, but just random weird things. Sometimes it would boot to just a place in the game, or just really odd. And when I piggybacked a new RAM on this guy, because I knew this board was fine, I actually started swapping boards again with this good stack, and it came as this board was sort of the source of the error, because it was the same behavior, but this board was happening on the other stack. So I tried to change the CPU, but it wasn't that. I suspected some addressing issues, so I checked the ROMs. They tested fine, but when I tested them, they came up as the bootleg ROMs, which actually makes sense because all these look like they're just the bootleg tags. So what I did is I burnt a new set of ROMs anyway with the original. I'll show you what the difference is afterwards. This could actually go further down. There you go. And then when I looked at the RAMs, I just in case piggybacked the new RAM on this here, and the game sort of partially booted. It was actually playable. So I didn't film that because I actually fixed it fairly quickly. But anyway, so I changed the RAM, and these are all the chips that I've changed. And this guy, quite a few on the top board, one on the bottom board, and a new sound here, sound IC on this guy as well, and a new RAM. Yeah, quite a bit of few sockets on this one, especially this one was especially bad, and this one just wasn't booting. But there you go, we've got a running game, fully running Kung Fu Master. Look at that. Also, I got myself one of these guys, which makes life so much easier. I was starting to get neck problems, so actually more light and some form of magnification will go a long way. I'll just switch this up so we can actually see. So when you get a bootleg, it says Can Fu Master, not Kung Fu Master. That's one of the way you can recognize them. I suppose you could change that in the ROM, but there you go. Anyway, I changed the ROM here, actually in the set. The sound and all the graphics are the same. They don't need to be changed. Folks, this is now Kung Fu Master full stack, three board stack fix. Quite a bit going on with this guy, but we got it fixed eventually. Folks, thank you for watching. Don't forget, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. There's a Discord server if you want to chat and see some of these maybe in advance as well. I post pictures of the fix whenever I get them on Discord. And also, if you want to help the channel, there's Patreon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.